like and subscribe. Follow Alifah Jaya Production. Thank you.
Crimson Forge, From Trash to Immortal. Chapter 3, A Cripple's Wrath. Azure Peak City rose before Ashen like a monument to his former life. Tall walls of grey stone, red-tiled roofs gleaming in the afternoon sun, and the distant peaks of the Jade Mountains forming a majestic backdrop. From this distance, it looked peaceful, prosperous, unchanged. But Ashen had changed. He crouched in the shadow of an ancient oak tree at the forest's edge, studying the city gates where guards in Lin clan colors stood watch. His tattered wedding robes had been discarded in favor of rough traveling clothes taken from the Shadow Fang Wolf's previous victim, an unfortunate merchant whose remains Ashen had found deeper in the forest. The clothes didn't fit well, and they smelled of blood and fear, but they were better than announcing his identity by wearing crimson silk embroidered with the Lin clan phoenix. "You're planning to sneak in," Ember's voice echoed in his mind. She could observe the outside world through his senses now that they were bonded. "Wise. You're still weak. Direct confrontation would be suicide." "I know," Ashen murmured, keeping his voice low. "But I need to get to the clan compound. There are things I left behind: cultivation resources, spirit stones, materials I'd been saving. If I'm going to advance quickly, I need capital." "And your sister?" Ember asked knowingly. Ashen's jaw tightened. "Lily is 12 years old and has no cultivation talent. The clan elders tolerated her only because of me. Now that I'm supposedly dead, she's just another mouth to feed. I need to know she's safe. Sentiment could get you killed." "Then I'll die protecting what actually matters," Ashen replied flatly. "Better than dying for someone who never cared in the first place." Ember was silent for a moment, then said quietly, "You have a good heart, Ashen Vale. Try not to let the cultivation world burn it away completely." Ashen waited until dusk before making his move. The shift change at the city gates created a brief window of confusion, and he slipped through among a group of merchants returning from the southern markets. None of the guards looked twice at the dirty, exhausted-looking young man who limped slightly and kept his head down. Inside the city, Ashen kept to the shadows, moving through back alleys and servants' passages he'd learned during his childhood adventures. Azure Peak City was divided into 4 quarters: the merchant district in the east, the craftsman quarter in the south, the common district in the west, and the noble quarter in the north where the great clan compounds stood. The Lin clan estate occupied the highest point in the noble quarter, its walls rising like a fortress within a fortress. Ashen had lived there his entire life, trained in its courtyards, studied in its libraries, celebrated victories in its grand halls. Now he was breaking in like a thief. "Your heart rate is increasing," Ember observed. "Calm yourself. Emotion clouds judgment." "Easy for you to say," Ashen muttered, scaling a section of the estate's outer wall where ivy provided handholds. "You're not the one who got married and poisoned in the same day." "True. I was merely imprisoned in a volcanic crater for 800 years. Very relaxing." Despite everything, Ashen felt his lips twitch in a ghost of a smile. At least his ancient artifact had a sense of humor. He dropped down into the eastern garden, a secluded area where servants grew medicinal herbs for the clan's alchemists. The familiar scent of spirit sage and moonlight lotus filled his nostrils, triggering a flood of memories. He'd spent countless hours here as a child, learning to identify plants under his mother's patient guidance. His mother, who had disappeared when he was 8 years old. The Lin clan claimed she'd died of illness, but Ashen had never quite believed that story. She'd been too strong, too vibrant. One day she was there, and the next she was simply gone. "Movement ahead," Ember warned, snapping him back to the present. 2 guards on patrol. "Body refinement realm," third and fourth layers. Ashen pressed himself against the wall, concealed by shadows. Two men in Lin clan guard uniforms passed within 5 meters, their conversation drifting to his ears. "Can't believe the young master is really dead," the first guard said, a lanky man Ashen recognized as Feng Ho. "Seemed invincible, you know." "Invincible?" The second guard laughed. Zhao Wei, a cruel man who'd always enjoyed mocking those weaker than himself. He was a spoiled brat playing at being a genius. The moment real danger appeared, he folded like wet paper. "That's harsh." "He was the clan's brightest talent." Was being the key word, Zhao Wei interrupted. "Now he's just worm food in the forest. Good riddance, I say. Always looking down on us common guards like we were insects." "Now who's the insect?" Feng Ho looked uncomfortable. "Still, his little sister. Lily." Zhao Wei spat. "That worthless girl has no cultivation talent. The elders have already decided to marry her off to the Gao merchant family. Old Gao is 53 and looking for a young wife to warm his bed. The girl will fetch a good bride price at least." Ashen's blood turned to ice, then immediately to fire. Marry Lily to old Gao? That disgusting merchant was notorious for his treatment of women. His previous 3 wives had all died under mysterious circumstances, but everyone knew the truth. He beat them to death. The Gao family's wealth bought silence and complicity from the authorities. "Ashen, your killing intent is leaking," Ember warned urgently. "Control yourself or they'll sense you." But it was too late. The crimson energy that had been building inside Ashen's chest exploded outward in an invisible wave of pure rage. Both guards froze mid-step, their instincts screaming danger. "Who's there?" Zhao Wei drew his sword, a standard-issue iron blade with minor spirit engravings. "Show yourself." Ashen stepped out of the shadows. For a moment, neither guard recognized him. His face was gaunt from hunger and pain, his hair unkempt, his clothes those of a beggar. But then Zhao Wei's eyes widened in shock. You're dead. I saw the young master from the Vex Consortium throw your body into the forest." "Dead?" Ashen's voice was cold, empty of all warmth. "No. I was merely reborn." Feng Ho's sword trembled in his grip. "Young Master Ashen? Is it really you?" "Don't be stupid," Zhao Wei snarled, though fear flickered in his eyes. "This is some vagrant who looks similar. The real Ashen Vale is dead, his cultivation destroyed. This beggar probably just..." Ashen moved. One moment he was 3 meters away. The next, his fist was buried in Zhao Wei's stomach. The guard's eyes bulged in shock and agony as he felt something break inside his body, not ribs, but something far more precious. His Danshan. The spiritual energy Zhao Wei had cultivated for 20 years exploded outward as Ashen's strike ruptured the guard's core. Zhao Wei collapsed, screaming, as he felt his cultivation drain away like water through shattered glass. "You dared," Ashen said quietly, his crimson eyes boring into the fallen guard's terror-filled gaze, "to suggest selling my sister to that monster. You dared to celebrate my death. You dared to call me an insect." He crouched down, grabbing Zhao Wei by the throat. "Tell me who's the insect now." "Please," Zhao Wei gasped, all his earlier bravado gone. "Please, I didn't mean I was just talking." "Just talking?" Ashen's grip tightened. "Then let me just talk too. If anyone, and I mean anyone, tries to harm my sister, I will hunt them down. I will destroy their cultivation. I will make them beg for death. And then I will deny them even that mercy. Do you understand?" Zhao Wei could only gurgle in response, his face turning purple. "Young master." Feng Ho fell to his knees, his sword clattering to the ground. "Please, spare us. I never supported the plan to sell Lady Lily. I swore to protect the clan's bloodline, and that includes her." Ashen glanced at Feng Ho, studying the man's face. He remembered this guard remembered how Feng Ho had once saved Lily from falling during a training accident, how he'd always been respectful without being obsequious. "You have 5 seconds to prove your loyalty," Ashen said, releasing Zhao Wei, who collapsed unconscious. "Where is my sister?" "The servants' quarters, Eastern Wing," Feng Ho said immediately. "They moved her there after the wedding disaster. She's been confined to her room, but she's unharmed. I made sure of it." "And the elders' plan?" "The marriage contract with the Gao family is being finalized tomorrow. Once signed, Lady Lily will be taken away in 3 days." Feng Ho's voice was thick with disgust. "I tried to protest, but I'm just a guard." "No one listens." Ashen nodded slowly. "From this moment, you work for me, not the Lin clan. Can you accept that?" Feng Ho didn't hesitate. "Yes, young master. The Lin clan that would sell a child to that monster doesn't deserve my loyalty." "He's sincere," Ember confirmed. "I can sense no deception in his words." "Good." Ashen stood, looking down at Zhao Wei's broken form. "Take this trash to the healing hall. Tell them he tried to rob a passing cultivator and got his dantian destroyed. If he says anything different, I'll know, and I'll come back to finish the job." "Understood, young master." "And Feng Ho? From now on, don't call me young master in public. As far as the world knows, Ashen Vale is dead. I'm just a wandering cultivator named Ash who happens to have business in this city." "Yes, sir." Ash. Ashen moved deeper into the estate, leaving Feng Ho to handle the aftermath. The eastern servants' quarters were housed in a separate building, deliberately positioned away from the main compound to maintain the fiction that servants were somehow lesser beings not worthy of breathing the same air as the nobles. The building was quiet at this hour, most servants still working in the main house. Ashen slipped through a side entrance and made his way up the creaking wooden stairs to the 3rd floor. Lily's room was at the end of the hall, marked by a small paper charm on the door that read confinement. Rage flared again in Ashen's chest. They'd treated his sister like a criminal. He knocked softly. "Lily? It's me." Silence. Then a small, trembling voice, "Brother? But you're... They said you were dead. Open the door, little one. I promise I'm real." The door cracked open, and a pair of red-rimmed eyes peered out. Lily's face was pale, her cheeks hollow from crying, her hair uncombed. When she saw Ashen's face, her eyes widened in disbelief. "Brother!" She flung the door open and crashed into his arms, sobbing. "You're alive. They said you were dead. They said the poison destroyed everything and Marcus threw you away and you were gone forever." Ashen held her tightly, feeling her small body shake with sobs. She felt thinner than he remembered, frailier. How long had they been starving her? 3 days? More? "I'm here," he murmured, stroking her hair. "I'm alive, and I'm not going anywhere." "But your cultivation, the poison, is gone," Ashen confirmed. "I found a way to recover. I'm not as strong as I was yet, but I will be stronger than ever before." Lily pulled back, studying his face with frightened eyes. "The elders are planning to sell me to Old Gao. I heard them talking through the walls. They said I'm useless to the clan now that you're gone, so I might as well be profitable." "That's not going to happen," Ashen said firmly. "I'm taking you away from here. Tonight. We're leaving Azure Peak City." But where will we go? The clan will hunt us. Let them try. Crimson light flickered in Ashen's eyes. The Lin clan made their choice when they abandoned me. When they decided to sell you like livestock. We owe them nothing. Brother. Lily's voice was small. Are you sure? If we leave, we can never come back. Good, Ashen said coldly. I have no desire to return to a place that valued me only for what I could provide. Gather what you can carry. We leave in 1 hour. Lily nodded and turned back to her sparse room. Ashen watched her pack her few belongings, some clothes, a jade pendant their mother had given her, a wooden practice sword she'd always treasured despite having no cultivation talent. You're burning bridges, Ember observed. The Lin clan may be weak by cultivation world standards, but they still have resources and connections. Making them your enemy could complicate your revenge. They made themselves my enemy, Ashen replied mentally. The moment they allowed Marcus Vex to poison me without consequence, the moment they tried to sell Lily, they became obstacles to remove, not allies to preserve. Just making sure you've thought this through. I have. Ashen turned to Lily, who'd finished packing a small cloth bundle. Ready? She nodded, though fear still lingered in her eyes. Where are we going? Away from here. I have some resources hidden in the city that the clan doesn't know about. We'll collect those first, then disappear into the wider world. There are greater sects, more powerful cultivators, and opportunities the Lin clan could never provide. And what about revenge? Lily asked quietly. I know you, brother. You're not the type to forgive and forget. Ashen smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Revenge is a dish best served cold, or so they say. Right now, we're weak. But give me time, resources, and motivation. His eyes glowed crimson in the dim light. I promise you, little sister, everyone who wronged us will pay. The Lin clan. The Vex Consortium. Serafina and Marcus. He placed a hand on her shoulder. They thought they were discarding trash. They were actually forging their own doom. And when I return to this city, it won't be as the naive prodigy they remember. It will be as something far more terrifying. What's that? Lily asked. A monster wearing a human face. Lightning flashed outside the window, illuminating Ashen's features in stark relief. For just a moment, Lily saw what he would become: something powerful, something ruthless, something that the cultivation world would learn to fear. But beneath that terrifying potential, she still saw her brother. The one who had always protected her, who had taught her to read, who had defended her from bullies despite her lack of cultivation talent. I'm not afraid, Lily said firmly. If you're a monster, then I'll be a monster too. We're family. We face everything together. Ashen felt something crack in his chest, the last fragment of the naive young man he'd once been. He pulled Lily into another embrace, this time not as a protector to a child, but as allies bound by blood and betrayal. Together, he agreed. Now let's go. We have one stop to make before we leave this cursed city behind. The hidden vault was located beneath an abandoned warehouse in the craftsman quarter, a secret Ashen had discovered years ago while exploring the city's underground passages. He'd been saving resources there for years, planning to use them when he eventually left to join a major sect. Now they would fuel his revenge instead. The entrance was hidden behind a false brick in the warehouse basement. Ashen pulled it aside, revealing a narrow tunnel that descended into darkness. Lily lit a small spirit lamp, one of the few cultivation tools even mortals could use, and followed him down. The vault at the tunnel's end was small but packed with treasures. Spirit stones glowed in neat stacks. Ashen counted quickly, finding roughly 5,000 low-grade stones, 200 mid-grade ones, and 3 high-grade ones he'd won in a tournament. There were also rare medicinal herbs he'd been collecting, cultivation manuals he'd traded for or copied, and a small chest of gold coins from various business ventures. "Brother, this is..." Lily's eyes were wide. "Where did you get all this?" "Years of preparation," Ashen said, already packing everything into a spatial ring he'd purchased months ago, one of his most expensive investments, costing 2,000 spirit stones, but now proving its worth. "I always knew I'd eventually need independent resources. I just thought I'd be using them to establish myself in a sect, not to flee my own clan." "Wise," Ember commented. "Many cultivators rely entirely on their sect or clan, never preparing for the day those institutions might fail them. Your foresight has saved you." Ashen finished packing and turned to Lily. "Can you ride a horse?" "A little." "Good enough. There's a stable 2 streets over where I keep a mount. We'll take it and ride through the night. By dawn, we'll be at Crimson Gorge City. From there, we can book passage to the Eastern Territories where the Lin clan's influence doesn't reach." They emerged from the vault and made their way through the dark streets. Azure Peak City was quieter now, only a few guards on patrol and the occasional drunk stumbling home from a tavern. Ashen's enhanced senses, a gift from the primal manifestation body technique, allowed him to navigate the darkness with ease, avoiding patrols and staying in the shadows. They reached the stable without incident. Ashen's horse, a sturdy chestnut mare named Swiftwind, nickered softly in recognition. He'd paid the stable master well to care for her, and the old man had done his job well. "Going somewhere, boy?" a voice asked from behind them. Ashen spun, hand instinctively moving to the dagger at his belt. An old man stepped out of the shadows, the stable master, carrying a lantern and regarding them with knowing eyes. "Master Feng," Ashen said carefully. The stable master was an ex-cultivator, his foundation destroyed in some long-ago battle, but he still had the instincts and awareness of his former profession. "I need Swiftwind. Tonight." "Figured you might." Feng set down his lantern and began preparing the horse. "Heard rumors about the Lin clan's young master being dead. Also heard rumors about a ragged man breaking into their estate. Funny how rumors spread, isn't it?" "I paid you for 2 years in advance," Ashen said quietly. "That covers a lot of questions not asked." "Indeed it does." Feng finished saddling the horse and handed Ashen the reins. "But a word of advice, from someone who used to run from his own past: revenge is a poison that kills slowly. The longer you carry it, the more it destroys you from within." "Then I'll make sure to deliver it quickly," Ashen replied, helping Lily onto the horse before mounting behind her. Feng nodded slowly. "I suppose that's the best I can hope for." "Good luck, boy. Whatever you're planning, I hope it's worth it." "It will be," Ashen promised. "Thank you, Master Feng. For everything." He urged Swiftwind forward, and they rode into the night, leaving Azure Peak City behind. As they passed through the southern gate, bribing a sleepy guard with a handful of gold coins, Ashen looked back one last time at the city walls. Somewhere behind those walls, Seraphina slept peacefully in Marcus Vex's arms. Somewhere, the Lin clan elders plotted and schemed without a second thought for the prodigy they'd discarded. Somewhere, life continued as if Ashen Vale had never existed. But he did exist. And he would return. Not today. Not tomorrow. But someday, when he had gathered enough power to make the earth tremble and the heavens take notice, he would return to Azure Peak City. And on that day, everyone who had wronged him would understand the terrible mistake they'd made. "Brother." Lily's voice was soft. "Are you okay?" Ashen pulled his gaze away from the city and focused on the road ahead. "I'm fine. Just saying goodbye. Will we ever come back?" Yes, Ashen said with absolute certainty. But when we do, it won't be as refugees fleeing in the night. It will be as conquerors arriving to claim what's owed. Thunder rumbled overhead, and rain began to fall. But neither Ashen nor Lily looked back as they rode into their uncertain future, leaving behind the ashes of their old lives and the promise of flames yet to come. End of Chapter 3. Next chapter preview. On the road to Crimson Gorge City, Ashen begins training Lily in the basics of cultivation using the Crimson Forge's power. But their journey attracts unwanted attention when bandits discover Ashen's spatial ring. The first real test of his new abilities approaches.